Hello, everybody. You've tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police Public Information Office. Tom Trowell, the man behind the scenes, right up here at this camera behind us right now, waving to us with his lovely locks of hair. And Susan Rinschler.
Howdy.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
I want to thank the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids for having us on each and every week with their continued support of the State Police Roadshow. Trooper Susan Rinschler, former District 52. Well, I guess
still District 52,
but kind of out of a different area.
Yes, but I'm now an asset to District 52.
There you go.
So.
Yeah. As opposed to what you were before, a liability, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Now even more so.
Well, good to have you on. You're in a different direction now. We've had you on before talking about the Tip-A-Cop, which we're going to talk about a little bit here too. We just recently had one of those, but you've got a whole kind of different career that you're often moving in, different aspect of your career, and that's the K-9 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm
So
on
what,
the K-9 unit.
What imposed you to think, I want to have a dog ride around with me 24/7?
Well, why wouldn't you want to? First of all, no, I've had aspirations to be on a K-9 unit since I was little, and it just started. You know, I guess from when I was young, watching Rin Tin Tin movies and the love of dogs, that I always wanted to have a partner or a working dog.
Right.
And then as I was growing up and I became passionate about law enforcement, it was a definite possibility that I could combine, my two passions I'm definitely still the model for if you want something bad enough that you can get whatever you want.
So did you have dogs growing up?
Yeah, I've always had dogs all my life.
Okay.
When I was at school in Purdue, I worked at the Humane Society, and I was an animal control officer for the county.
Okay.
So that was really where my passion sparked. I was in public safety and worked with animals every day.
Yeah.
I made friends with a lot of local K-9 units there. And it was just, opened my eyes to what I, needed to do to achieve what I wanted. And then I never let my eyes off it.
So you applied. They picked, I think we got two here at Indy, right? You and
two
Wally?
new ones. Mm-hmm.
You and Wally were the two from here.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was that process then? How did they ask, hey, are you going to be able to take this? Did they have to come to your place and look and see if you can actually hold a dog or what?
Yeah, obviously it's same as any promotion or specialty team. You still, now it's required to take a promotion test, which is a written test. There's an oral interview, which is a panel, with the district commanders and a K-9 commander. So you go through an interview process just like you would anything else. But yes, our requirements are a little bit more specific than other specialty teams. So obviously you have to make sure you're in an area that's adequate for a dog. You couldn't you couldn't live in an apartment complex or anything like that, because we have an outside kennel installed on your property. So you have to obviously make sure you have enough property to be able to handle a K-9.
Did you have to check with your neighbors? Did that come into mind or anything? Or
I've had dogs, all my life, and I've always had dogs there. It's a good idea to check with your neighbors and just let them know that you're going to have a working dog. It's a little different from just a regular pet. But no, all my neighbors were very positive, and they knew that's what I wanted. They were very excited to have him.
Good. So you get selected to do this. Where do you go to receive your training? Is that local, or how does that work out?
Yeah, now we have all in-house training, which is amazing. 3 months, which is pretty long. I mean, you would think our academy's 6 months and K-9 academy's 3 months. I mean, that's a long time, and it is every day, all day, K-9 training. But we have an amazing program now in-house that we've had for a while now, maybe I think 6 or 7 years now. We've had our own
in-house training.
In-house. Yeah.
So how do they go about selecting your dog? Where does that come from? Well,
we get our dogs from Von Litt Kennels up in Peru.
Okay.
And a team of the K-9 commanders and handlers go up there before we physically even go up there. They run a gamut of requirements that they want and they look for in dogs. I think they tested 30, 40 dogs when we went up there. They need to look for certain things like not being scared with gunfire. They'll have a blank gun that they'll shoot off to make sure dogs aren't scared. They make sure they have good toy drive or ball drive because these dogs really have zero training. They come from overseas, all over the world. So some have maybe very minute, obedience, but a lot as puppies, they're just raised for a bite sleeve if they're a patrol dog,
Right.
and that's basically it. So we look for certain things in dogs, sizing, breed. I mean, now with this command staff, we have Shepherds and German Malinois.
Okay.
Before we were strict to just only having German Shepherds only. So now we have a lot more possibilities for dogs. So our K-9 staff goes up there and selects a group that they're happy with. And then us new handlers and maybe older handlers that are getting a new dog go up there, and then we basically pick what we like. So we try them all out. It's kind of like trying out a bunch of cars on a lot. I mean, you take them out, you play with them, you just see if there's a spark, because these are going to be your partners for many years.
So do you have Shepherds and German Malinois that you're looking at that time, or do they?
Yeah, I mean, we have just about anything. So there's going to be Shepherds, there's going to be mixes, there's going to be all Malinois, yeah.
So you picked yours out, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Do any of them not make it? Did any of them wash out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely we have an agreement with the kennel that we purchase them from. If they don't work out, then they have a return policy.
Okay.
And sometimes what happens is when we get them, they go to the vet right away, and a vet looks at them, takes x-rays, goes through them. If there's an issue,
Right.
Physically, mentally, then we go ahead and return them right then.
Okay.
But during training, sometimes you'll find that the dog just doesn't work, for whatever reason.
It's like training for us.
It's just like training for us.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, you try not to get a bond with them. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But this is a job, and they're a working dog. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to return them, I think one dog out of the last class got washed about 2 weeks before graduation.
Wow.
I mean, because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what's nice about being able to return them and get another dog is that, you can train them up. And
How far into the process are you allowed to go and stay in that process? In other words, 2 weeks to go, they're obviously not going to graduate that dog.
correct.
So they have to come back to the next one probably. But
Yeah.
what, a week or two in, can you get a new dog and start over?
that's not a big deal at all, because you can always work on, in the beginning, obviously you start with obedience training, and then you're going to integrate the patrol or narcotics or whatever we're going to be doing, so you can kind of speed it up if you need to.
So you've got your dog. You're going into 3. What all are they trained on exactly? I mean, there are certain parts that they start out first. Do they have different things that you're going at differently, or are all the dogs trained together?
Yeah, we're all in a group. There were 6 of us out of this class, so we all basically train together, and we'll progress together. And then, depending on if a dog needs a little bit more training, then we'll concentrate on them for a particular part. But we all kind of progress at the same rate.
Where's this all done at?
It's for mine. It was centrally located. And then we really trained all over the state, depending on what we needed. If we needed a lot of land, we would go to some state parks for tracking training.
Okay.
We used the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center down south to get a whole different aspect of different scenarios, and just to be able to do a lot of stuff. So we were mostly centrally in Indianapolis doing a lot of things.
Now, I'm sure it's just like our training again. There's some dogs that excel in this part and maybe need a little more work in this part.
Correct. I mean, yeah, dogs are very much like people. We have dogs that are better at tracking than other dogs. We have dogs that are better at aggression than other dogs. Better in obedience. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and the same thing with the dogs. Yeah.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. I'm speaking with Trooper Susan Rinschler. We're talking about the K-9 program. You the first female to have a K-9?
For dual purpose, which is a patrol dog, which does apprehension and narcotics. But yeah, the first female on the department.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's kind of a big. I mean, it's by now. I would hope that more women would want to do it. It's an amazing program, but it's tough. It's definitely a tough.
Well, that's going to be part of your job now. You're going to have to promote and get more women behind
that's
this
right.
and get them in the program.
Exactly.
So you've got your dog. We had obviously the K-9 graduation, which I was part of, and it was a great event. And actually had a wedding proposal there during that.
Yes, we did. A surprise wedding proposal. I think it shocked everybody.
But got your dog, and now, so is there like us? Is there a probationary period, or are they out with you and going?
You know, it's funny because it mirrors the academy where you get out on the road and you have just enough tools, but you're scared to death and you haven't done anything yet. Same exact feeling. You know, Maverick and I are still brand new. You know, we've had a lot of training, a lot of scenarios, but when real stuff starts happening, I mean, you know, we're going to have to, you know, rely on our training and do what we can. But we're road ready. He's certified in everything: narcotics tracking, area search, building search. And so we're here ready for the district.
Now, what's your typical day? Do you is there a lot of time for maintenance of the dog, or how does that work out?
Yeah, there is some time during the day. Obviously, the dog has to be fed and cared for and cleaned and all your, you know, basic maintenance of K-9. So, but there's also training involved daily. I mean, these dogs are like people. I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
And so we'll take part of our day and do some, you know, basic training. You don't need a lot of time, but you need to have some kind of like a refresher daily just to keep them, you know, where you want them to be.
Now, I know there's different training, I think, for different kind of dogs. Some of them are food, some of them are toys, play, like you say. What's yours?
He's very much toy oriented. He'll do anything for a tennis ball, and it's almost insane his drive for a tennis ball. He also likes food, so depending on what kind of training we'll do, food he loves, but he doesn't get overexcited, so it's easier to keep him a little bit more calm. And when you have a ball and things like that, he tends to just go nutty because his drive is amazingly high. So it just really depends on the kind of training that we're doing.
Is that because of the breed? His drive? Is that?
Yeah, the Malinois is very much a high energy, I mean, completely focused breed. But he's a mixture of both, a Shepherd and Malinois. And so I kind of get the brains of a Shepherd, but the drive of a Malinois. So it's a really good combination.
Do you have other dogs now?
No, now he's my only dog. Okay. Unfortunately, I lost a couple during training. And so now he's the king of the house.
I was wondering how he got along with the other one.
He didn't at first because he needed to be the pack leader.
Right.
When we kept them separate, and it wasn't, you know, because he is a working dog. People forget these aren't pets. I mean, he doesn't snuggle in bed with me at night, and I don't think I would want that. But you know, these are much working dogs, so you have to kind of separate the.
Does the public understand that when he's out, he's working, or do you have to remind them of that?
You do. I mean, he's very cute and he's very good looking, and people want to pet and things like that, and you have to remind them. And you know, I almost forget. I'm so used to having just, you know, regular dogs and, you know, that love people, and he loves people too, but, you know, he's still, when he's working.
Does he have to be retested every so often to make sure that he's still up to standard, or once he's certified for good, or on the drug side of it and things like that?
Yeah, we do monthly in-service training. So obviously we're going to keep them on point where they need them. So if they need a little bit more work on something, then we have the rest of the month to make sure he's squared away. But every year we're certified. So it's just something that, you know, we need to do legally to be out on patrol.
And I'm sure you're available to any other department or anybody that needs.
Oh yeah, and I have been. Fishers is needed us. Metro asked us for help on tracking down a homicide suspect last week. I mean, I'll go anywhere, and, you know, for anything. And we're state police, obviously, but we'll assist anybody that needs us.
How do they do? Does the heat and thing affect them, or how does that work?
Yeah, very much so. You still have to be careful. You know, I need to monitor things like heat, things like, you know, dehydration. So you got to be careful, and you can't. And that's something that can put a lot of stress on the dog. If it's really hot outside and we're tracking, you know, heat exhaustion is a big deal. So you have to really pay attention, be very careful. Same thing with extreme cold. I mean, they're like us. I mean, their feet, you know, get cold and things like that. So you have to kind of really see what your environment, what you're doing, where you're going, where the dog's feet are going to be, if there's broken glass, things like that. So there's a lot more now to my normal job than.
So is he ready to jump up and go to work in the morning when you're ready?
Oh my goodness, he knows when I put my uniform on and when he gets a collar on. When I put his work collar on, I mean, he is all work, and he knows. So
good. Well, Susan, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you coming in and talking about the K-9 program. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Glad you're out there hitting it for us, and with your new partner Maverick. And we didn't even get to talk about the Tippecott, but I understand it went great.
Yeah, we raised about $2,200 at our Carmel location at Red Robin, and it went awesome. So I'm very proud.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance Cops for Kids. I've been speaking with Susan Rinschler from District 52, now part of the K-9 division for the Indiana State Police, with her new partner, Maverick. So maybe you'll see him out on the road. We appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next week. Roadshow is out.